Happy Hanuman Jayanti. Today is the full moon in Libra in the nakshatra of Swati. Swati nakshatra, as you know, the constellation, nakshatra literally means constellation, is ruled by Vayu, the wind god. The son of Vayu is Hanuman. So I made a small slide to explain the energy of today's full moon, uh, so that we can all make use of this beautiful energy that is available to us. So, like I said, today is the full moon. Full moon is really means the sun and the moon are opposite each other. So the sun's rays are completely on the moon. If you place the earth in between, sun and moon are opposite each other. Um, and the exact degrees of the new moon is around uh, 8 p.m. in Los Angeles today on April 26th. We have right now the sun exalted in Aries. And the energy of Aries is actually the original first sign of the zodiac, is that of being individualistic. It's where the soul naturally incarnates on this planet, the energies incarnate on this planet, and there is an innocence, like a toddler like innocence to Aries, which also is it's not immature, but it is full of energy. It's uninhibited. I think the word is uninhibited. Uh, and kind of not reined in. It's wild, like wild horses, right? And then directly opposite Aries is Libra. So today's full moon is happening in Libra, where uh, the moon is trying to harmonize the energy of Aries by being completely opposite to it, so holding this opposite polarity. We have a lot of Aries energy, Sun, Venus, Mercury, all three are in Aries, while Moon is in Swati, nakshatra in Libra. Like I said, Swati is ruled by Vayu, the wind god, and Vayu actually carried Shiva's seed, Shiva's sperm, and impregnated Anjana, who is Hanuman's mother. So Hanuman is a Shiva avatar, but he's also a Vayu putra, and also a descendant of Vanara, or the lineage of um, monkeys. He's called Anjani putra, born from Anjana. And to understand today's energy of this full moon, we need to understand Hanuman. It's Hanuman Jayanti. Um, and to understand Hanuman, we have to understand stories related to Hanuman. As a kid, Hanuman was really naughty. He was Vayuputra, right? So if you think about the wind scatters. Um, so he was extremely naughty, almost destructive. Um, and when he was a kid, he thought the sun in the sky was a mango fruit. He was just unaware of his powers. So he leapt towards the sky, thinking the sun is a fruit, and to eat the sun. Indra saw this, and he tried to dissuade Hanuman, but Hanuman was very naughty, would not listen to anybody. So Indra had to use his thunderbolt to knock Hanuman off his. And then, Hanuman fell on earth, uh, became unconscious, which um, angered Vayu, and he sucked all the air from the cosmos. There is no air, if there is no breath, life cannot survive. So all the gods came to appease Vayu, and bestowed Hanuman, who was already very intelligent and very talented and extremely powerful. He was a Shiva avatar. They bestowed him with all these different powers, um, mainly of immortality, mainly of being able to change his size from big to small, and then being able to fly at the speed of the wind anywhere in the world, making Hanuman really, really powerful. But they also made him forget about his powers at some point. There was a story related to that. When Hanuman came of age, he grew up really quickly. He was very, very intelligent and would constantly ponder and reflect upon, um, you know, deep philosophies. And he was looking for a teacher. And this story is really important for today's full moon. He was looking for a teacher. And then he decided, with the help of his parents, that sun is the best teacher for him because sun has been in the sky and sees it all. So sun is the best teacher for him. And therefore, Hanuman goes to the sun, flies to the sun, and requests sun to be his teacher. And sun, being in the sky, says he's very humbled, like, Hanuman came to him to learn things, but son is like, I can't stop. I have the responsibility of running the solar system. I cannot stop in the sky. I need to keep moving and I need to keep rotating and revolving. So there is day and night created, and which supports life. So Hanuman offered to fly with the sun. Um, in his path, but because the teacher and the student have to face each other, Hanuman had to fly in the opposite direction. So Hanuman flew in the opposite direction along with the sun, traversing the sun's path to learn all the Vedas, the scriptures, poetry, every possible thing. And then the way he learned it, this exemplifies Hanuman's intelligence. The way he learned it is sun in the sky just recited the Vedas once, and Hanuman memorized and picked it up and, you know, extracted the entire juice of the Vedas once. And he finished his entire tutelage with sun in 60 days. That's how intelligent and wise and developed Hanuman was. Of course, Hanuman was already very powerful, and like when sun recited the Vedas, it just unlocked things within Hanuman. And you can see that in today's full moon. The sun in Aries is in his full power, he's exalted. And the moon, opposite that, in Libra, shows our mind. Of course, the sun is joined to Venus, Venus and Mercury too. Mercury signifies intelligence, and Venus signifies willing to work with others. So it signifies really the intelligence and how that whole story of Hanuman gaining his knowledge from the sun evolved. This is really important to remember. So Hanuman really through his life, you can see he practiced all kinds of yogas. He practiced Jnana yoga, which is how he studied with the sun, right? Extremely intelligent. He practiced Bhakti yoga. He was completely devoted to Lord Rama, completely. When he met Lord Rama, he recognized the deep love within him for Ram and decided to follow that love. At that point, he didn't even realize that Ram was an incarnation, or he didn't even know that he was Shiva's incarnation, right? So Hanuman, being an avatar of Shiva, devoted and completely surrendered his life to Rama and actually followed Rama's vision. Um, when they were on the rescue mission to rescue Sita from Ravana, Hanuman could have easily flown Sita back from Lanka across the ocean and rescued her all by himself. He was able to change his form, he was able to change his shape, he was able to carry heavy things. But he obeyed Ram and he obeyed Sita when he met Sita in Lanka. He obeyed her and her wishes that her Sita's husband Ram is the one who would rescue her and not Hanuman. Even when they were building Ram Setu, the bridge from southern India to Lanka, the bridge of stones to cross, Hanuman could have easily carried Ram and Lakshman across the ocean. He could have flown with them, but it was the question of the entire army, the entire Vanar sena or the entire monkey army fulfilling their purpose. So instead of taking the easy route, he surrendered and he built, helped build the Ram Setu, the bridge across the ocean. Such great was his devotion and his service, right? That's where karma yoga comes, his service to his master. So he practiced bhakti yoga, he practiced jnana yoga, he practiced karma yoga, and he also practiced raja yoga. Hanuman was so touched by sun's generosity, the sun in the sky, as his teacher, that once he finished his studies, Hanuman is the one who devised Surya Namaskar, sun salutations, that we practice in yoga. And most yogis, that's the first thing they learn and they practice, is actually devised by Hanuman because he understood the sun so well and what was required in the body to invoke the sun within us. A great yogi, Hanuman himself was the most powerful beings of all time. He's immortal. Apparently, he still roams earth. Um, I wish he made an appearance so we could gain and learn from him. He was a great yogi, but also really devoted, very humble. In service, he really served his love, which is Ram, completely surrendered, thought of Ram as his guru and completely surrendered to him. And that's the highest expression of the Libra energy where we have the moon. Aries is where we are very individualistic. It's hard for us to think about others. And if you think about a child growing up, the child is all intelligent, yet it's very hard for the child to think of someone else, right? It's all about them. And involving others in our life, in our life's equation, is a part of adulting. It's a part of growing up. And that's the Aries energy. It's very individualistic. It's about personal will. It's about self will. It's about my goals. It's about my ambitions. It's about what I want to do in the moment. I'm not even thinking long term. And then directly opposite it is Libra, especially the nakshatra of Swati, which is ruled by Vayu and literally means the sword because the wind can really create hurricanes, right? But if you really control the wind, control air, it becomes so powerful, it becomes life, it becomes breath. That's where pranayam comes from. Prana really, there are, English is a poor language, so people translate it to breath, but it really has a deeper meaning. It's life, what gives life or higher vibration. Um, and if you control breath, if you do pranayama and practices, yama really means to control. Uh, if you really control your breath in a very specific way, it's life giving. And that's what is what is sustaining life, right? It's if you hold your breath and you can't breathe for 2 minutes, you'll suffocate and die. Our life is so delicate, it's held by that one breath that we take in and take out. And so powerful, it vitalizes and energizes this entire being, right? And that's a very important thing to remember, to not use wind to destroy or your power of your intellect to destroy, because air is also equated to intelligence, intellect, like the mind, the logical mind, the rational mind, right? That's what air relates to. And instead of using your rational mind to destroy in the world, you use it in a very specific way to create, to control, to uh, raise your own vibrations. And we live in a very airy society, right? Very spacey, airy society, with social media, with everything that is being so intellectually stimulated in this day and age. Um, and a lot of us just do not understand the power of technology and the power of social media. In fact, we all criticize it, but it is a tool that we need to use. It's a tool, like our intellect is a tool we need to use. We should not be used by social media, and we should not be used by these airy, spacey qualities, but we should learn to use them instead as a tool for our own growth and advancement in this world. That's a nuance there. Um, Libra, and I put this picture of cellular homeostasis. This is a cell in homeostasis, in balance, literally. Um, to understand Libra, it's like one of the most misunderstood energies. Um, it is symbolized by the scale, right? But it's also the person who's holding the scale. And the balance is so delicate. Everybody equates Libra and then throws out words like balance. But what is balance? Balance is moment to moment in a very dynamic state, weighing in all options and seeing what could create the most harmony, the most equilibrium. If you see, the balance is constantly moving, just a little bit, it's constantly moving. And then the person who's holding the balance is taking the responsibility of that weight, of that decisions that affect many people. That's why judges are seen by Libras, diplomats are seen by Libras. And it's not just diplomacy, but it is really weighing in all parties involved and trying to figure out the best decision possible. How many of us are willing to take that weight? Just, even think about being in jury duty. Many of us just try to get out of jury duty because we don't want the responsibility of somebody's life. We don't want to be in that position um, to judge, because it's going to affect someone's life, and how to make that really fair. That's the Libra energy. Of course, it does it by creating imbalances, if and then rebalancing it. It's literally like a cell. So this is a cell, and this picture is from cellular molecular biology journal. And the cell is in a constant state of trying to maintain equilibrium or homeostasis. Think about just drinking water. When you drink water, it changes the salt concentration in the body. And then the cell has to figure out how does it maintain its osmotic pressure? How does it maintain the pressure within the cell so that it doesn't collapse? It maintains its structure, its morphology, and its function. Saying that anything you intake or anything you excrete from your body, it affects every cell of your body in a very specific way. And the cellular membrane, the membrane of a cell, is just like a thin lipid layer. It's like, think about the bubbles you blow, right? As a kid, it's that delicate and that thin, and it's constantly trying to maintain its structure by letting things in and letting things go constantly. It's in a constant state of flux, but the net overall thing is homeostasis or equilibrium. That's the Libra energy. And it is trying to maintain that opposite polarity with Aries, wherein Aries is about our own individual pursuits. And then the Libra side is in us, wherever Libra falls in your chart, is where we are trying to figure out how our individual pursuits fit with the world as a whole. That's why there are people talking about global warming, because individual entities have exploited the planet uh, for a long time. That's why individuals talk about social justice, because they are aware of individual pursuits that have led to stratification of the society, that has led to a divide in the society. These are very important, nuanced concepts that one needs to really sit and think about it, right? Libra is an air sign, so it's driven by ideas, um, and it's driven by things that arise in the intellect, and then it brings it down into the world, into the materialistic reality by creating a transformation. So Libra creates transformation or change on this plan in the on the material plane by conceiving an idea in the mind, in the intellect. It's all about ideas. And all final signs from Libra are air signs. So the fifth house from Libra is Aquarius, again, about it's an air sign about social justice and ideas. And the ninth sign from Libra, which is also a dharmic place, the 1, 5, and 9 positions are dharmic, right? Is about ideas too. It's Gemini, and it's an air sign, and it's about how do you maintain curiosity? How do you maintain discernment? How do you maintain your discrimination, yet take all ideas and opinions into consideration. So Libra is the one that represents the intellect when it's participating in social issues. An example of Libra, a living Libra who embodies the energy of this sign and exemplifies what this full moon is about, is Amma Amritananda Mai. She's the hugging saint. Um, she hails from Kerala in southern India, but has traveled all over the world and hugs people, and she's an enlightened being, but has chosen to be amongst the people and serving them individually. She hugs every person, one person at a time, no matter how long it takes her to hug people, right? And we are also seeing this whole Libra energy play out in the city I hail from, which is Mumbai. As you all know, Mumbai and India has been struck really hard in the second wave of COVID, where there is lack of oxygen tanks, difficulty in treating patients. I've seen accounts where there are no beds in the hospital available to patients, so doctors are going to patients' homes when you're supposed to be quarantining. They're going to patients' homes and with oxygen tanks and treating affected patients. And in times of crisis, I love Mumbai because the spirit of Mumbai comes together. I have been in Mumbai through natural calamities, through extreme floods, and the people of Mumbai come together, and I bring this up because that's the Libra energy. The people of Mumbai come together, whether there is government support, there is support from local agencies or authorities, doesn't matter. The people come together, support each other, and carry each other through. I've been in through floods in Mumbai, and Mumbai gets really heavy rains and gets flooded pretty often. The trains stop working. There's no electricity. The phones stop working. And but the people who, everybody, when people talk about Mumbai, they talk about slums, but they don't talk about the people in the slums who will come out, will lay bricks so that people can, move through the flood and get to their homes safely. um, the spirit of Mumbai is so beautiful. Like, every Tuesday, there is a temple called Siddhivinayak, which is a Ganesha temple. And people from all over Mumbai would walk several hours to get to Siddhivinayak. I've done that journey. I have, from my home in Mumbai, it's an overnight walk. I have to, if I start walking at 8 p.m., I would reach Siddhivinayak around 4 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Um, but then there will be people all along the path who will be serving small cups of tea, small biscuits and cookies, so that the yatris or the pilgrims are supported in their journey towards their own devotion, right, towards their God. And also during COVID, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine in Mumbai. She's a childhood friend of mine. I love her to death. She's an MD, and she was talking about how Mumbai curbed its peak and actually created a dip in the COVID curve by coming together. People uh, made arrangements for oxygen tanks. Everybody chipped in. People followed the lockdown rules. Um, and really, the city came together in times of crisis, um, to really combat something that is so grave. Um, and it really touched me. Even, um, companies like Reliance, run by Ambani's, and Tata, they shut down their plants, um, so that they could redirect resources to help the citizens of Mumbai. And there's no other city like that in the world. I have lived in different parts of the world. There is not a single city in the world like Mumbai where people come together in the spirit of the city just to help each other in times of crisis. If there's natural calamity, if there is a crisis in the world, there is no other place to be than a city like Mumbai, where the people carry the city. And what carries the people is this unsaid spirit. You can see it in the temples, you can see it in the churches, you can see it in the mosque. You can feel it. It's inbuilt in the land, in the energy of the land. And that's the spirit of that Libra energy, where people come together to make things happen so that everybody involved in that equation benefits from it. We also have Jupiter aspecting uh, this moon. So Jupiter is throwing a fifth aspect to Mars and is throwing a ninth aspect to this moon, really bringing its grace and blessings and the whole message of for the society to move forward. We need the people to come together irrespective of their differences, irrespective of even their species. Like, we can see from Hanuman's and Rama's story, Hanuman belonged to a different species altogether, but decided to serve a human being who he fell in love with and in whom he saw God. And that's the Libra principle. The Aries principle is is me as a divine being incarnated on this planet, which is easier to see, right? We can, if you think about the spiritual journey, it's easier to go within and find God, but it is infinitely challenging to see God in the other person. And my theory is Amma Amritanandamai, who hugs millions of people in a day, she will go 72 hours straight without eating, without going to the restroom, in sitting in one seat till every single person who has come to her has been hugged. And then she hugs them and she laughs with them, she cries with them, she becomes one with them. And the only way you can do that is to be able to see God or the divine in other people, to see every person who comes in your life as God, bringing in lessons of God. That's the highest expression of the Libra energy. My wish on Hanuman Jayanti is for all of us to be able to see the divine in each other, like Hanuman saw divine in Ram, without any validation, without any signs or symbols from the universe. Just believe and see, be willing to see the divine in all of it, in the entire play of life. Happy Hanuman Jayanti.